South Africa is in the grip of the most serious challenges that have confronted it since the establishment of our non-racial constitutional democracy 23 years ago. Our economy is in a more parlous condition than at any time since 1994. We are experiencing an unprecedented constitutional crisis. We are also beset by serious social challenges. There is no doubt that we need a new national dialogue to discuss these pressing challenges. We need a dialogue that will include South Africans from across the political, ethnic, and economic spectrums of the nations, because a few things are certain. The future of all South Africans and of all our children for decades to come is being threatened by the current challenges. There will be no solutions if we do not achieve win-win outcomes for all South Africans, and particularly for the most disadvantaged 40% of our population.
And the new society could be represented or presented as a rose, a beautiful and much-loved flower throughout the world. And in modern times, our abiding African traditional humane belief system in favor of a people-centered society found expression, as President de Klerk has just said, in the aspiration stated that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. And yet that moving prayer has failed to give birth to the rose, according to which the right to belong to a common home has not as yet translated into a truly equitably shared matrimony. And late in the 18th century, the outstanding English poet William Blake published a short poem, The Sick Rose. And the first line of that poem says, "O rose, thou art sick." And so it is that the rose our people planted, as represented by the victory of 1994, is indeed sick. Practically, it is impossible for anybody in our country publicly to argue against this reality of national sickness in our politics, in our economy, and in the context of our social and national cohesion. Nevertheless, there are various views about how our country should respond to this sickness.
If we allowed this unwholesome character of politics to continue while we wallow in silence, history would never forgive our generation. We would have been complicit in an act of betrayal. We would have learned nothing from history. On this point about history, Frederick Douglass is worth quoting for the lesson he drives home. Douglass contains the following, and I quote, "What actually happened in the past does not really change, of course, but the questions we choose to ask of the past change, and thereby new interpretations emerge. This is what is meant by learning something new from or about the past. The questions change and thus yield new understandings. This is why, as historians often say, each generation must write its own history," close quote. The questions we ask of the past are as much relevant to the present, and that is how we learn from history. I am sure we will also appreciate that history writing is not only through pen and paper, but our actions as common people, understanding the socio-historical essence of dialogue as a transgenerational imperative that shaped and continues to shape the soul of our nation. And I thank you for your attention.